You're listening to Sit, Talk, and Listen podcast with your hosts, Payroll Rob and Xavi Bauer.
Hello to you and you and you. It's December 29th, 2024. Sit, Talk, Listen. It's Payroll Rob, Xavi Bauer. You guys probably thought we would never make another episode, but motherfuckers, here we are. Hello. Xavi's here. He's here too. What'd you think? Did you think we were done? You think Sit, Talk, and Listen had seen its last episode? Or did you...
Hell no. No, dude. I said it from the beginning. We're in it for the long haul. Dude, we got another decade or so in us.
At least. So episode 24, we're wrapping up 2024. I think that feels like a good kind of focus of today's episode is kind of putting a little bow on the year.
Is this... When did we make our first episode?
We made our first episode.
It's all been within this year, correct?
It's all been within this year. That is correct.
We've seen some ups and downs.
Yes.
More downs and ups.
Consistency from everything but us, I'd say. I'd say there's been consistency with our numbers, all episodes being relatively equal. Not consistency within release timing, but that's all right.
Well, I mean... I was working with FedEx through the Christmas season, so just made schedule just a real tight ship here.
All right. I have an answer on our first episode.
Let me guess.
Guess. Are you going to guess?
Yeah. February 13th.
Wow. Wow. It was February 19th.
Ooh, 6 days off.
Yes. And... yeah, that was pretty good. I was not thinking February, but that checks out. Huh. What do you know about that? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I just was going in the memory bank of thinking of topics that we've covered in the time, like in what we may have talked about.
Yeah, I could read all these titles, but I don't know. I guess going through and reading titles of our past episodes just and giggling about them. Is that entertaining?
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's weird because this is like a year in review episode, or could be, but it's also like a month and a half hiatus that we've taken. So, you know.
Sure. And we can get into the specifics of things that have happened more recently as we're reviewing, right? You know, that's kind of part of a year in wrap up. Or would you like to do it the other way around? Things that have happened recently in the time since our last episode and then go over the whole year? Or should we go back to the beginning of the year and kind of run it back that way? What do you think?
Like just off the dome, like thinking about things that I can think about throughout the year?
Well, sure. We could do it that way, and I can pull up a couple. We can have producer Tony pull up a couple things, I mean. And
we can go, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, we could also rank things this year, or things that happened in the top of our head.
Everybody loves a good ranking. Everybody loves a good ranking.
Everybody loves a good ranking.
Specifically Mount Rushmore's.
Mount Rushmore of things that happened this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm intrigued. Mount Rushmore of things that happened this year, the year of 2024.
Now, is that just good, nefarious, bad, like,
yeah,
most memorable?
Noteworthy?
Memorable.
Most memorable. Okay, so Mount Rushmore of most memorable things in 2024. Well, do you want to start? Should I start? How do we want to go back and forth, like a 1 and a 1 and a 2 and a 2, 3 and a 3 and 4 and 4? How should we approach?
Oh, so are we just not coming to an agreement? Because I remember when we did the St. Louis sports, as St. Louis athletes, we just kind of made our own, which I still would like to go by and stand by that list. It was hard. It was but yeah. So, anyways,
maybe we could do an individual one.
So here's what I'm going to say though. I'll lay out the parameters of what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say in 20 years, things from 2024 that you could still look back and say, oh, like, do you remember when that happened? Oh, that was 2024. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to look at.
Yeah.
So good, bad, or nonetheless, I'm just going for most memorable. I'm not like giving parameters on if it made me happy, sad, bad. I'm kind of staying out of personal life here. Just kind of
oh, okay.
Unless you want to.
Well, 2024 is going to be the year I know that I got engaged. So I was engaged this year, going to be married next year. Well, so maybe I'll think more of next year. Who knows? But that'll stand out to me about 2024. But then outside of that, I'm trying to purposely think of like positive and negative things so that my brain just doesn't always remember negative things. The cynical in me, the cynic in me. That's what I'm looking for. Cinephile. Oh, a little sneezy sneeze. Sneezes is pleasins. Go ahead. You gotta exercise them demons. Look at the light. You're supposed to stare at the light. Everybody knows when you're trying to sneeze, you're supposed to stare into the lights.
For me, when I think of this year, like, okay, but like as this year wraps up, there is certain things that I might not remember in 20 years happened this year.
Yeah.
But certainly, like, are we drafting or what?
Are we drafting? Yeah, I think we should. So, I mean, I won't say my engagement is going to count as my draft pick. I guess we'll go, like, more topical things, broader topics, not just our own personal experiences of the year.
Okay, so I think the most memorable thing, which will be for 2024, was Donald Trump getting shot.
Wow.
I think that was a significant moment. Obviously, there could be some other ones, not spoiling picks, involving maybe even him, but politics in general.
Yeah.
But I think that when I think back, like that was just such a...
Definitely politics in general.
That was just a huge moment. Good, bad, for whatever you think, whatever. I mean, that was a pretty infamous moment of this year.
Yeah, you're 100% right, but it's crazy.
Is that a crazy pick?
Well, no, it's not, but it's wild because as I'm thinking back through things in the year, I thought of Trump and the election and him being elected, and I'm like, oh, that's a pick. But I wasn't even thinking of the specific moment of him being shot. I forgot. I can't say entirely, but I wasn't even thinking about it.
But that's not going to be erased from history. I mean,
no,
that'll be talked about for years.
Yeah, it should be. But the way that it was like not talked about,
it was talked about.
It was, but I feel like not on the same level as like other presidents had been shot at. I don't know. It feels like it was much lesser of a thought. To me,
mean, that was
maybe
pretty big.
I know it was a big deal. I'm just talking about.
I'm going to say my Mount Rushmore of things that happened in 2024 was Trump being shot. That is my number one pick for that.
That's a big one. That's for sure. I just, like I said, for some reason, I wasn't even. Yeah, I thought him winning the election was going to be a big one. You'd remember that he won the election in 2024. That was a big deal.
But couldn't you almost say, though, that, which I do agree, that was also, I mean, obviously in my mind as well when I was running back this year, but I think that was almost became, not the mascot, but like the
it was the album
frame
cover. Yeah, it was a snapshot.
The fist in the air.
Yeah, that's
everybody.
We'll see if that's the image that lives on from him this year. And as throughout the next 4, 8, 10, 12 years, if that's the photo that still resonates with people from this year. Because I could see it. I believe it. It's definitely one of those big things. No, because maybe recency bias too. Like I think people are going to think 2024, the year that United Healthcare CEO was murdered. Also,
well, you're spoiling picks, and that's your pick.
That's my pick. That's what I'm saying. I was going to say that's going to be the thing people remember this year for CEOs being murdered. But like I said, recency bias.
Well, yeah. So far you have that. Then you get another pick
in a little snake system, a little slithery snake. All right. 2024. Oh man, I have to go back because I do remember I had ideas and then I lost them, and so now I'm gonna in real time try to remember them. It's finding Take Live on Air guy.
We did not prep any of this.
No. This is we don't prep any of it.
While you're
stuff.
thinking, I'll just do something.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Obviously, I'm always curious to hear what everybody else has in mind after we get done with this. Maybe like I like to hear things we might have missed. Again, starting in the new year, maybe one of our New Year's resolutions will be to get this podcast out 4 times a month. On that, maybe if we find days to record 2 at a time or just different things. I very much have loved this, and on a personal Mount Rushmore of mine, I will look back as the year that we finally started this. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I really enjoy it. I really enjoy just like talking to the people that do listen and and kind of getting their thoughts on the topics we've talked about. I really much enjoy that. Like,
Yes.
it's fun. Not hearing feedback necessarily on what we said, which I welcome too, but I really love just, the huge part of this is just the conversation and trying to have this as like me and Bob sitting and talking like we do, like even if the mics weren't on. That's really the mindset I try to go into these things with.
Yeah, and try to engage people in good conversation.
And hopefully, over the 2025, like grow this thing a little bit. Maybe do some promotions and stuff, and just trying to get this, into a few more ears. It's two things we suck at. But do you have your next pick yet? Have I stalled enough?
Gosh, nope. Just
Okay.
give me yours next one. I'm gonna avoid this pick.
Okay, and since I'm a big sports guy, I'll stay true to myself, and I will say something that I think will be remembered in the sports world forever, and that will be Shohei Ohtani going 50-50 this year. Obviously the Dodgers and the mega team they built and went on to win the whole thing. That's memorable in itself, but Shohei going 50-50, that was a huge deal when it happened. That will live on, and it might even be bigger in history than it felt at the moment. Like baseball's kind of, it's not. We've talked about baseball's decline a lot. We've talked about baseball's popularity a lot as far as this podcast goes. But I think that brought a lot of eyes, to baseball. And I mean, that was huge. It was huge.
Yeah.
The 50-50, so right now I have Trump getting shot and Shohei going 50-50. That's 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, first time in MLB history. So that's my second pick.
That's pretty good. I thought the Diddy, it'll be the year of the Diddy. People will remember 2024 as the year that Diddy was arrested, and we'll see how it all plays out into the next years, 2025, 6, 7, as things proceed with him, and I think that's going to play into how people remember it. But I think they're going to remember 2024 as a catalyst for all that. So I have Diddy.
He did it. Now, what do you think is like do you think it'll be Diddy being arrested, all the baby lotion that they found, all of it encompassing?
Yeah, just that story as a whole, that the Diddy umbrella, if you will. I think because there were so many different pieces of news around this year that broke with that information, and also, pop culture, year of Not Like Us 2, probably Kung Fu Kenny. It's a snake draft.
That was my next pick.
I gave you a second one. I don't even remember my first one. Golly, I'm bad at this job.
Your first pick was
it was
Luigi, whatever his name is, shooting the United Healthcare guy.
All my super happy thoughts from this year.
Not Like Us was my next pick, but that's a good pick. I did get skipped in the snake. And I could have probably had the Shohei 50-50 third. You probably wouldn't need to know that on your radar, but I had to be true to myself and do a sports one. Mm-hmm. Not Like Us. That might swing the votes back in your favor, because that was my next pick. I was thinking you forgot about it.
No, I was getting there.
But
it just took me some time. Sometimes it takes a little time. Kick the gears around and really try to know if that moment really played significance across the board, or if it's just my own personal feelings on moments throughout the year. That's where it gets tough for me, when I'm trying to filter through things in me mind. And especially live on air. Like you said, we didn't prep this segment. We didn't think of no Mount Rushmores of moments.
So then I get my last two picks here then, correct?
Yeah, and then I'll get my last one after your next two.
Yeah, so, man, this stinks, because I really wanted Not Like Us.
Sorry, stole it right from under you.
Yeah,
that's the fun of a draft.
I was locked and loaded and ready to go with the Drake Kendrick.
Now you're gonna have to. You're gonna frantic. You're gonna. What do they call that in the league?
No, I won't. I'm a trained professional when it comes to this. You stay composed. You don't just throw out the next thing that comes to your mind in a state of frantic.
Team swoops in and takes your pick right at
2024. I mean, gosh, there's I'm trying to think of significant celebrity deaths, and
there's a lot.
Yeah, but not like that one that's going to be live on forever, like when Kobe died, or maybe Michael Jackson a few years ago. Jimmy Carter died today.
Yep, 100
but
years old.
R.I.P.
Jimmy Carter. I was going to talk about the 100-year-olds and the stat
We'll get on to that later. Then we'll revisit Jimmy Carter's death today. I don't think either one of us are taking that as 2024. There is one thing that's, and here's to your point, how big it is. I remember it being so big for me because I had a big take about it. I don't think it's that huge of a thing that happened.
I'm thinking of something maybe. Go ahead.
Yeah, we did this outside.
Yeah, it could be a moment for you. It wasn't on my radar, so you're not stealing from me.
Well, I don't care. You stole mine, so I wish I was.
I know.
Do you think that's big enough, though? It's not really a huge thing.
It happens. Yeah, I don't know. Is it going to be remembered? I mean, it probably won't be remembered. 2024, that's the year that eclipse happened.
Yeah, so I'm not taking it, but we'll talk about that in honorable mentions as a little recap, and maybe like a little our show recap.
We're doing honorable mentions as we go.
Yeah, we are. So this is not my pick, but the solar eclipse definitely was one of the most memorable moments for me on this podcast. I clearly stated over and over again how I couldn't understand how people spent so much money traveling to see this thing that lasted.
What a waste.
3 minutes. It's like, it's cool. I mean, most of the country doesn't even get the total eclipse. Like, I still stand by that, but it was controversial.
And that's a take.
And in my personal circle, caused up a lot of
riffraff.
Yeah, it did. So that being said,
so you have 3 currently? Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm not taking that.
Oh, that's right. You didn't. You said no on the
2024. I'm going to go with the Eras Tour.
Wrapping up.
I know that kind of was a 2-year thing, but
3 almost, wasn't it?
Yeah, but 2024, the Eras Tour wrapping up, and it was a cultural phenomenon.
The economics of it.
You could have almost taken this the last 3 years, but
that's a good call. You have to think about it. It's going to be remembered for this year because let's think. Taylor Swift started dating Travis Kelce 2023. But their relationship hit critical mass this year, like in the off season.
He was at the Super Bowl.
He was in her show a few times during the tour while he was off. Remember, he came out as like a dancer a few times. That was talked about.
Yeah, so I think 2024, and we didn't do this podcast last year, and we definitely didn't do it the year before that. So
that was why we're here and we're talking about this. So I remember it. The economics of Taylor Swift's tour, the money that was made, is just incredible. Like those numbers kind of came out since our last episode, and I knew that I wanted to talk about it. I don't know. Did you look at any of those numbers? Have you heard about that?
I mean, I haven't heard specific numbers. I did hear the stat, like she gave away so much money to like the people who worked on it and all that.
Yeah, just at the end there was like $200 million of bonuses, and that just kind of shows you. If
she's giving away $200 million, I mean, geez, can you imagine how much she probably made?
It's that, yeah. Yeah, it was lots of monies. Hold on, let me see here. So it was near $200 billion that was grossed. And that means that's the money that they earn, not just like net. Net's the money that you bring in before expenses. Gross is the money that you made after expenses. So almost $2 billion after the cost of putting on the show and paying the crew and all that was, and part of that $2 billion was what she gave away in bonuses. Like the $2 billion was gross profit, but she gave away money from that. That wasn't counted towards it. And so that money that she made, that near $2 billion, I was trying to find, there's like a chart, a graph that I saw, but it was a higher amount of money than 42 different countries like make as their gross domestic product. So she brought in more money as herself, as her, her company, her product, whatever. That $2 billion was more than 42 other countries, as entire countries made.
That's not a good time for my Wi-Fi to stop.
It's crazy, dude.
But yeah, so I just had to take the Eras Tour there. I think you'll look back at 2024 along with probably 2023 as the Eras Tour, but like I said, we didn't have 2023 wrap up. I think you could have taken it for 2 different years though, really.
So it was 149 shows across 5 different continents. It's going to go down in history as likely the largest money-making tour ever. I know it's been the largest one so far, but I'm trying to even think of who could rival that in coming years. Nobody currently that I could think of would be like, oh, that person could go on a tour that would rival that. You know, it was like Elton John and U2 were the closest, comparatively to how much money they made on their tours to what she's made on this tour. Did you know that?
It's absolutely nuts. And when it comes to Taylor Swift, do you think, like, you know, this is as big as the Beatles and Elvis and Michael Jackson? Is she that level? She reached that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say
these numbers,
that's like the big
these
four
numbers
there?
show it?
Is that the big four? If we're doing a Mount Rushmore of big musical artists?
Well, if your determining factor for Big Four is just what they've earned, like what their commercial success has been, then yeah. It's been the Beatles. It's been Elvis. Elvis started it. The Beatles were next. Michael Jackson was kind of the one after that, as far as those kind of levels of success.
The longest drought we had then, right? I mean, it's Beatles to Michael Jackson, but
yeah, and,
I don't know.
And Michael Jackson carried it for a long time, and like I said, you know, Elton John's tour brought in record numbers.
But it was not this, dude.
No, but I'm saying that it was this. It was the highest earning tour before this one. Elton John had like a one of his farewell tours.
And so I'm kind of thinking for my last pick, this started in 2023, but I don't know if we've ever touched on it. It's pretty, yeah, it's my last pick.
Is it going to be remembered for 2024?
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be this year specific, so maybe I won't.
Okay.
But I'll say it as an honorable mention. And that is the war in Gaza between Israel and Palestine. It started October 2023.
It's probably going to be remembered as a 2023 thing.
It was pretty huge,
and when if and when it concludes, it'll be that.
But it's been a pretty big ongoing thing. But why I'm not taking that is because I don't think you'll specifically remember the year 2024 for that.
Yeah,
but I will go with.
We're gonna give
my fourth pick will be Bitcoin reaching 100,000. I don't think that might be huge in our world, but I definitely know like that's pretty relevant. I think it's a start of showing, just basically. Crypto and it's pretty heavily talked about. It's been very popular news. Bitcoin getting to 100,000. I think it was at like 20,000
going into this year
5 years ago. Going into
5
this
years
but
ago,
it's definitely. I mean, it's just crazy. Me personally, I've heard a lot about, even on podcasts that don't normally talk about it. It's like I'm hearing just a lot of Bitcoin, cryptocurrency has been kind of climbing in relevancy and dying off the past 10 years and climbing, but I think it's reached its peak. So far to this point, it certainly has.
Yeah.
But the first time Bitcoin reached 100,000 was this year. I don't know. That's my last pick for lack of just being able to think of
2024 year of the Bitcoin. So
I'm comfortable with that. So my four picks is Trump getting shot, Shohei 50-50, Eras Tour, and Bitcoin emergence.
That's a solid 2024 wrap up, I'd say, in your Mount Rushmore. So I got CEO, murder, Diddy diddling, Kendrick, Not Like Us, Big Beef, Rap World of Buzz, Super Bowl. That's all wrapped into the Kendrick Lamar thought for me. All those different topics.
I thought about the whole Chiefs 3, but they're probably going to win it again this year. So
no, the Chiefs. Nobody's going to remember the Chiefs specifically for this year. They're going to.
That'll be a decade thing, like when you wrap up the last 10 years.
A long look back. 2024. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can't decide. I think I'll mention this as an honorable mention. I don't think it's gonna make my thing. But people might remember this year for the crazy presidential debate we saw between Biden and Trump early on.
Yeah, that did cross my mind. And the whole Biden having to step down, that was in my mind.
Like that whole action
but
was...
I kind of already had a political thing.
A little bizarro world. Yeah.
I was trying to touch all bases.
Sure, I understand.
Finance, sports, pop culture, politics.
Definitely. Yep. And that's part of my issue. Is like, I mean, maybe I'm trying to think down the realm of college football. What's the big stories? Is it going to be anything that's going to carry from this year specifically to future years, and people are going to look back on this year alone? I mean, you got the start of the 12-team playoff, but that's not really producing anything that I feel like people outside of being like, oh, 2024 was the first year for the 12-team playoff. I don't know that that's
No,
going to be.
especially because it's probably going to go to 16.
Yeah, it's going to, right. So I don't know that that's going to withstand the test of time from this year. So it's hard to put that as a Mount Rushmore moment because that's not going to really live on. Is it going to be TMA changing? We're going to remember 2024
For us personally,
Yeah.
that did cross my mind. That's a bad one.
most negative moment of the year. Thanks, Hubbard.
That sucks.
But if you guys want to buy our podcast, we're listening.
No, we're not. No, we're not. I will not sell out.
Sell out with me. Oh, yeah. I'm thinking. I'm sitting here. I'm thinking of another moment that was big. It's hard for me to think of like any sports moment that I think is going to withstand like just this year.
Well, I had another one in my mind. If you want it, you can have it. But
honorable mention, maybe.
I do think 2024, as far as sports world goes, especially college football, is the year. So we've had a lack of a really true Heisman. Jaden Daniels won last year. You know, there's never been like that standout season. This year we had two. Now it's Travis Hunter and Ashton Genty. Both had what in any other year would have been runaway Heismans. They both have it the same year. A lot of debate, a lot of sparks going, you know. And that did cross my mind, but I think I wanted to show 50-50.
Yeah.
But that's what I was deciding to.
I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, people might talk about that Heisman for at least a few years, but I don't know.
Dude, it will be
maybe
talked about
we'll
for
see.
a long time. It'll be a 30 for 30 one day.
That could be. I guess. Yeah, it's hard. In my mind, it wasn't. It hadn't even crossed it. But I'm not as tapped in to the sports world these days. Dang.
Give us some feedback. What was the bigger sports story this year? Genty versus Travis Hunter, those two seasons, or is it Shohei 50-50? Did I drop the ball?
Yeah, and how much do I suck?
It would have been the Oilers climbing back from a 3-0 deficit. They blew that, but pretty.
Yeah, that'd have been a good one for show. For show.
So a lot of dead air here.
Man. I mean, sometimes you gotta let the people feel awkward. No.
Mount Rushmore 2024 was Bob's record-breaking time between picks.
Yeah, well, sometimes you gotta really stew on things, and you know, I do a really good job of blocking out negative things. So when I try to think back and dig up all the stuff that happened this year, there was a lot of negative, I guess. You know, so it was hard for me to lock in on all the specifics.
Yeah, so for me,
and try to think what's going to register for the people. You know, what was everybody else having as their big moments this year? Not them personally, just the things that they think are going to register. You know, be remembered down the road. Go ahead. I cut you off a second ago.
No, I mean,
I'm just thinking out loud for the most part.
You could take anything in the presidential elect. You have nothing on there. There's a lot of meat on that bone.
Well, I said the election. I guess I didn't pick the election.
Yeah, you kind of wasted that on a third in the dirt.
Well, I was just yeah. I mean, 2024 will be the year remembered as when Trump was elected. You know,
I
to
think
his
Trump
second
versus
term.
Kamala, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, it kind of dominated this year. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I guess I was just already figuring that was taken.
Did I kind of cuck you out of that with my Trump getting shot in the ear?
I guess so. Not intentionally. I just wasn't even thinking about it anymore because I was like,
that was before
counted.
Biden had stepped down.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Twas. So I got CEO dude being shot. Kendrick is 3. I'm thinking of my second one again. It was. Yeah, killing it here.
Great list.
Dude, somebody's got to write these down.
I don't mind.
Oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
I thought Kendrick was your second pick.
No. He was 3rd. It was. Huh. Captivating.
My dad's probably at this point screaming at his radio.
Look, sometimes it's easier to remember when you're listening back than when you're talking and listening and thinking. Huh.
When you're just sitting and listening and not sitting, talking, and listening.
I'm sitting, talking, and listening, and thinking.
How was your second pick?
This is quite the conundrum.
Yeah, you had Kendrick in the United Healthcare.
It was another negative thing.
It was. Diddy.
Diddy.
The Diddy Diddler.
Maybe it won't be that memorable. So, all right, there we go.
Well, I don't think...
Diddy, Kendrick, beef, Trump, Kamala, election.
That's your last pick?
Those are going to be 100% the top 4 things that are remembered this year. I stand by it. It took me a while to get there.
100%. None of mine will be in there.
I don't know. Remind me.
My picks were the Eras Tour, Shohei going 50-50, Trump getting shot, Bitcoin reaching 100,000.
I think that you have one pick of yours that would be able to be on my list. Like, I think the Trump being shot could be on top of Diddy, but the other ones I think will be remembered more than yours.
Well, I took a more well-rounded one, and I think the Eras Tour will be more remembered than anything on your
But I don't
list.
think it'll be remembered from 2024 specifically.
And you kind of cucked my first pick. I took the Trump shot, and then you had no other pick, so you just went back and took something you already said as an honorable mention, and that's fine.
I didn't say the election was an honorable mention.
But when you think of Trump, Kamala in this whole year, what will be bigger? What will be more memorable? Trump winning or Trump getting shot?
Trump getting shot. And then it'll also be equal parts of him winning.
And in
because
50
of it.
years, are we going to say, "Oh, Diddy, that was crazy"? Like, do you remember what year was Epstein arrested?
Yeah, 2018 maybe.
But yeah, roughly. But like usually things in sports would be like 2024, the year Shohei went 50-50. We remember the years. Like sports and years are very synonymous with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So news cycles, depending. So. But in music is...
Okay, so moving on to next year, I will say this. What I think is going to be huge, and I'm going to lead right off with this, going kind of in line with the P. Diddy shit, is Jay-Z. And Jay-Z, known scumbag.
No. It says that next to his name on Wikipedia, known scumbag.
And what I wanted to bring this up, because it rehashes something that we had a pretty lengthy discussion on earlier in this year, was Kendrick... getting picked to perform at halftime by who?
His boy, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z. And what's Jay-Z in the news for?
Being connected to Diddy.
And being a...
scumbag.
Pedophile.
Oh,
so it's pretty interesting to me that Kendrick picks and chooses who he wants to call pedophile and who he wants to be boys with. Now, Kendrick, all buddy-buddy with Jay-Z, known pedophile...
Jay-Z
world will know.
You're saying Jay-Z is a known pedophile?
When Jay-Z and Beyonce first started dating, and it will pretty much show you that Jay-Z was 27, Beyonce was 16, and
they started dating.
And let me just say this: I'm not saying that Kendrick's wrong. Maybe Drake is, but Lil Wayne not performing the Super Bowl. Bob lambasted me. Everybody wants to lambast me for saying Lil Wayne's 80 years old, doesn't deserve to perform at halftime. Kendrick's biggest song and why he was even chosen to be in this Super Bowl was because what? He made a song calling somebody a pedophile? And he gets picked by who? None other than a pedophile himself. Now, this is double standards in America, and we have to hold Kendrick accountable. Now, he should come out at halftime, do a Not Like Us remake, and call Jay-Z out. Throw this in his face, and then I will say, yes, that was the right choice. Kendrick played Jay-Z, and that.
Now, that'd be an interesting little twisty-turny. Okay.
So I've been waiting. I've been sitting on this. That is the number one thing I wanted to start off this with, is just by calling Kendrick out for his double standard ways. Makes a whole, probably a few $1 million calling somebody a pedophile who gets to perform at halftime. Chosen by alleged pedophile.
Well,
any thoughts?
Hey, it could. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and there's a little bit of a double standard there. I guess all you can say is that he's going off of what he. I don't know. Has more
Jay-Z
truth to
has been
believe.
accused of. Drake has not.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess he wasn't accused of before, dude. I don't know.
But he said certified lover boy, certified pedophile. Now, the closest thing to certified, and Jay-Z's not even a certified pedophile. He's got good lawyers and stuff, so I'm sure he'll never will be. I don't know. We'll see. This whole Diddy stuff, that is going to take over headlines in 2025. I'm looking forward to covering it in future episodes to come. But like we kind of talked about earlier off air with your lovely fiance, will this stuff even make it to the public? Will this be Epstein 2.0, or will 2025 be the year that shit gets real, hits the fan?
It's probably going to be closer to the second one if I had to guess. Shit gets real, hits the fan.
And whose names are going to be dropped? I mean, and does this create a domino effect? Do all the powerful and elite come down? Probably not. But
I mean, that's definitely what some people want. But it's unlikely to happen. Let's be real. Money is power in this world.
Yeah, but it takes something like this for a revolution to start. And
yeah.
It starts with P. Diddy. It's somebody who's been untouchable for all these years getting away with crooked ass shit. And that comes out. Now he might be like, hold up. Like, I ain't going down because so-and-so was there too. So-and-so was there too. Might even circle all the way back to Jeffrey Epstein. Now all these names are coming out.
Yeah.
Now you get into all these people that thought they were untouchable. And
well,
this is what they
the
fear.
To be president, the president-elect also was tied in with those same circles.
Yeah, but that's not just him. It's all these.
I know there's a ton of them.
All these
politics
people in
and business.
Clintons. Dude, that the rabbit hole.
So that's what I'm saying. Is like, I don't know. That levels aren't going to be able to just come unwrapped and unfurled to the public. It won't be allowed because departments from within are going to be able to say, "Hey,
Trump's mentioned releasing the Epstein list at some point." So I don't know.
A redacted version, probably, with all his people currently blocked off.
I have a feeling 2025 is going to be more headlines newsworthy this year.
Than this year? That's great. Should be awesome. Can't wait. So excited. You're probably not wrong, and that's what's a little, definitely, I don't know, disconcerting. Try to disassociate best I can. It's for better or for worse. No, it's not looking like it's...
there's positive news that can happen.
Yeah, sure. But it's not shaping up that way. You know what we also forgot to mention? This year could be thought of as the year of the chat GPT.
I changed my pick.
Redact.
No, Bitcoin's still huge, and I think just because it might not be our world, you're kind of underselling that pick, but
yeah, it's
pretty fucking big that Bitcoin has reached 100,000.
No, I mean, crypto stuff is obviously gaining more and more traction. And there's no denying it. Yeah. I'm not saying that it wasn't a good pick, but the rise of like everyday users with having these AI tools is definitely going to be like looked at for this year. I don't think those were available before 2024.
Yeah, see, 2023, 2024 kind of all blur together for me.
Blended.
Like I feel like, I don't know, if you just get to a certain age and you start seeing things as like 2-year segments and...
Could be. That's what I was looking at our different podcast titles throughout this year to see if I could remember if anything, because I know I started using the old Chat GPT for doing some of the summaries at some time throughout this year, but it wasn't from the very start. So what was up with that?
So it's been a big year. So
been a long time.
Kind of to go off of the year recap for a little bit. Is there anything, since we've had Thanksgiving, Christmas, everything has happened
holidays
in our world since the last time we recorded. But I mean, not a lot of huge news. Like, I guess pretty smooth on my end. Holidays went.
Oh, like in the personal news sector?
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing too wild, nothing too crazy. Nice little holidays, getting together with the fam bams. Car problems the last handful of weeks for me. A car in the Shopperino has me mad at society again that we have to live in a car-dependent world. I mean, you don't have to, but 95% of our cities are car-dependent cities. You can't. It just doesn't work. So that's been recent fun for me. Car problems. Outside of that, things are well. Things are good.
You're getting married in a few months.
That's facts. That's true. Most of that planning is all set. So feeling good about that.
My sister got married.
Abby,
so congratulations
shouts
to
out.
Abby and Brandon. That was December 7th, I want to say. Yeah, that sounds about right.
12/7.
That went smooth, good, nice wedding. That was definitely a big moment for those two. So congrats on those two. Hell, they might have even moved into their house since the last time we've recorded. So lots of changes going on in their lives. So just shout out
to changes. Yep.
Yeah, as we always are. I walked out on my job Saturday, came back 3 hours later, very short.
Best negotiation strategy there is.
I guess in times. That wasn't my tactic going into it, but it turned out that way.
Yep. Hey, that's all right. Sometimes the best things are the unplanned.
Sometimes if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
If you just need examples, look at us. None of this is planned, and look at how smooth we go every time.
This train is always on the tracks, never off. Always on, never off.
That's our motto. That's our motto. But
yeah, so I think in the next...
You did have the, we just barely touched on it, the United Healthcare CEO being murdered. That happened since our last episode. That's garnished a lot of attention. Obviously, there's quite a large number of people that are like, feel as though this guy, it's hard to say deserved to die, but was almost deserved to die as an example of like people are fed up with insurance and corporate America in general. It was more, a lot of people kind of feel that way. But then you got, the United States government treating this man as a terrorist essentially and trying to make an example out of him. Whereas if you have somebody that walks into a school and can murder numbers of kids and teachers, and they're not looked at like a terrorist and treated in the same way as a person that shoots one person.
Are you sure about that?
They don't get handled the same way.
A lot of them end up taking their own lives after that.
Sure, but I'm talking about the ones that are arrested and caught and this and that. Why is it that somebody that just because he murdered a rich person, they get treated as though they're the most dangerous criminal?
Like some people are celebrating this guy, though.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There are people that are celebrating this guy. What do you think? Is that good, bad, and indifferent? Do you think people should...
Certainly not indifferent. No, man, I think... I don't know enough about this guy in particular to, who are we to just dictate what measures need to be taken for your point to get across. Maybe that's not the most effective way because you kind of, maybe you get your point across to, like, you can't really get your point across to somebody by killing them because now they're dead. Like, your point is no longer being, like, your point's not being proven to anybody. Like, first of all, you shot him in the back of the head
using
in the middle of the street.
To make a point more than...
but what point?
Not making a point to that person.
Now, I think that, there could be positive things that come out of a thing that I don't necessarily celebrate somebody's death when this guy had a family and stuff, and who maybe there's definitely policies or stuff that he participated in that are corrupt, but he could have just been playing the system and the best way to what he deemed providing for his family. Now, obviously, I'm not for that. I'm not trying to defend that.
I get that, but that's everybody's plausible.
Who might have celebrated a guy's death? I don't know him.
I don't think anybody should celebrate murder. I agree.
No, but people are.
No, I know that. I understand that, but I'm agreeing with you in saying that people should not celebrate random murders. But what I'm saying is
Osama bin Laden's
is what part of what you were talking about, with he's doing his job to the best of his abilities and providing for his family. That's such...
I didn't say that. I said
not necessarily.
I was just saying that in his mind,
right?
He could have just, in the world that he's in, maybe it's scumbag world, this has probably been so normalized to him.
Mhm.
He might not be viewing it as I'm hurting these people, which he is. And I'm not defending that. Again, it's kind of a tricky subject to talk about without my words getting twisted.
Right. Well, it's not him specifically. It's the problem with corporate America in general. It's just designed like that on purpose. You know, corporations are made up of large. You couldn't have just put it on silent.
I was trying.
Oh, the Sports Center update's popping in, and Xavier's throwing his phone across the room for those of us who need a live update. So, you know, anyway, corporate America is set up, not even just corporate America, but corporations in general are set up in a way to be faceless, that not one person is responsible for the decisions of the organization. There's a board of people, and each one of those people have a slight bit of say, so that they can essentially wash their hands and be like, I just was, you know, acting in the way that I knew was best and we thought was best. And it all, you know, it's just each person is allowed a little bit more plausible deniability in a corporation, and that's why they're so heartless and soulless, because they don't act in ways that a normal person would act one-on-one or even two-on-one. If, you know, one person making a decision and they're the one that have to answer for that decision. If you have 50 people that can make a tough decision and not one person of those 50 people have to be the one to actually answer for that decision, then it's much easier to make quote-unquote tough decisions that corporate America does. I keep saying corporate America, just corporations in general make, you know, they make decisions based on money, and a lot of these companies, and they're in places that their decisions affect people, you know, their lives and their health and all that, and the way that they're able to live their lives are affected by the decisions that are made by these board members and their, you know, and their votes. And since not one person has to answer for it, they're able to rationalize it a lot more, making those.
Well, this one person did have to answer for it.
And if anything, that's what again, there is no justification for murder, but that's maybe what this guy thought he was doing is, you know, using this person as a symbolism to be like, hey, somebody needs to answer for the decisions that are made. So this guy is answering. Other people take your thoughts and decisions more into heart when you're making these decisions as a large company. Heck, I don't know. Just trying to play devil's advocate.
Saying, but like, yes, but you have to think like larger picture, whether he was doing it, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that are fucked over by the healthcare system, and people who didn't get help because they were born into a certain economic status and all that stuff. It's fucked, but that has been the world since the beginning of time. The rich and powerful get everything they want.
Yep.
But you have to understand how the media works, and these media corporations, especially, first of all, I want to say that ABC, Fox, all this shit that, like, you know, the baby boomers are still getting their news from, stop paying attention to that. Stop paying attention to all that shit, because it's being funded. You can look at all these major news corporations. It's being funded. So now what happens when you kill this healthcare CEO? Like, they're going to cover it as such, as a terrorist. So you're maybe you thought this would be like some vigilante revolution starting action, but really what you're making it so now these people who are taking advantage of poor people and people less fortunate, now these people are being made as the victims. So like the guy just didn't really fully get a full grasp on how it might
spin zoned on him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's like, it's negative, not only just because the guy's death, you know, probably was, never mind. But
yeah,
it's not getting your point across the way you think, the way you want. It might get some conversation started. Certainly going to get some people celebrating, saying, fuck that guy. But overall,
probably, you know, more negative than good.
Brainwashed masses that are going to tune in and get their news from these.
Protect the powerful. Protect the powerful.
Yeah, journalism's been dead for a while. And if you really want true journalism, you got to make sure you're viewing or listening or reading things that aren't backed by anybody with an ulterior motive. Like, do research on what you're listening to and their motives and reasonings for reporting news the way they are. Like, that'd be my advice. That's
the issue with almost all of the information we get is there's an agenda behind it because they need to. They're supported by sponsors that they need to make sure that the content aligns with the views of those sponsors, and the sponsors more and more need to make sure that their views are aligned with the broad society, so it's that the downward pressure is what shapes the way the narrative is talked about, and that's a shitty place to be, but that's kind of where we are as a society.
But maybe that guy just wanted justice.
Maybe be too.
He feels that.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the story. If it's just like a personal vendetta, if he wasn't trying to do any bigger picture motive,
Kind of like the movie Law Abiding Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
He felt and kind of was, his family was not
given the
provided
proper
justice that he thought deserved. If you haven't seen the movie, at the beginning, Gerard Butler watches his wife and daughter be assaulted and killed right in front of him while he sat there helpless. And
spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the fucking movie.
15-year-old movie or something.
So then he goes on. The guy who actually was responsible for the murders made a plea deal and basically framed his partner, who was not responsible for the murders. So the guy who made the plea deal got off on a light sentence, and the husband who had watched all this happen, he was very frustrated that they took the plea deal and decided to take it upon himself to devise a plan and start killing and harming anybody who he felt was responsible for this unjust thing. So I know it's not apples to apples, but it's kind of made me think of that movie in that sense. And it's like, at what length? Like, when does your point get across? How much murder and how much stuff do you have to do before there is a change? Does it change? I mean, it's a pretty heavy and deep topic, but it's certainly, I don't think it's recency bias in which you took it on your Mount Rushmore, because
I do think it's going to live past this year.
Yeah,
people
it's a huge deal.
It's a jumping off spot of people's thoughts and conversations on that. If anything, I just hope it makes people refocus on it should be rich versus poor, not white versus black,
But that's why I was saying the thing about the news. It won't do that because there's so many people who are brainwashed. They think these news corporations are for the rich. Like, make no mistake about it. Look who they're backed by.
Yeah.
So until the masses stop getting their news from CNN, Fox, on both sides of the political party, and all this bullshit that you're buying, you're seeing a skewed narrative.
Yeah.
You're part of the problem.
And it happens same way online. You got the Zuck skewing their algorithms one way, and you got the Elon skewing his algorithms one way. Every platform is got their own interest looking out for. Google's obviously skewing all their articles, all their search results certain ways for their own benefit, for their own profits.
And that's more, I think. You got Google skewing everything to the blue side, the left side. You have Twitter obviously skewing everything to the right side.
It's sort of towards the blue side, but it's also just towards the money-making side, mostly towards the money-making side.
Google backed Kamala, so it's like...
Yeah, just for the outward view because they're in California. I mean, like, that's just what
like if you
looked
Googled
best.
where to vote for Kamala, it would pull up maps of all the voting polls. And if you've Googled where to vote for Donald Trump, it had no search results as far as that goes. But on the opposite end of that, like you said, Twitter and Elon definitely made his voice known on who he was going for, and that's a huge media platform. So that's what I'm saying.
And that's what Twitter is, just another media company. Elon tries to push it as this is the opposite of the big media. And maybe it is. It's the opposite of TV media, but it's the same thing where he's just pushing that agenda on his platform. It's the same thing.
I mean, I even remember watching a couple of years ago on Netflix. It was a huge documentary on veganism, and I thought it was interesting. I watched the whole thing, and it's all these health benefits of being a vegan. And at the end, the maker of the documentary, it was a vegan corporation. It's like,
sure, naturally.
1 second.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't make a documentary and tell you that veganism is terrible for you if they're a vegan, company. Standard that way. I had just watched a recent one on Netflix. It was a pretty good documentary. And it's a lot of stuff that I was pretty well aware of already, but it talked about consumerism and how bad it's really gotten, especially in the modern years with Amazon and internet buying and just the out of controlness that we are with producing and buying more shit. And so that, we're talking about documentaries. That was an interesting one I saw recently. Buy Now, that one is called, if you're interested.
Everybody go watch Buy Now and
report back. So
let's lighten the mood a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say we were talking about Jimmy Carter and 100 years old.
Okay.
Lighten the mood. He died.
I mean, technically, I mean, gosh,
it's lighter.
Yeah,
a little lighthearted. So we were talking about him being 100. Dick Van Dyke will be 100 here soon. He's 99 currently. You were hip on that. So
yeah, I'm up to date on my Dick Van Dyke news.
Yeah, I figured you would be. Most people know everything about Dick Van Dyke. So we're talking about 100-year-olds in America. So currently, they say there are about 101,000 Americans that are the age of 100 or older, and that number is expected to quadruple in 30 years. So you're talking about 422,000 100-year-olds or more by 2054. Could you see yourself living to 100? Do you want to live to 100?
I feel like that answer has a lot of variables. I don't know how advanced modern medicine will be. I don't know if my 100, if I make it to 100, would be the same life experience.
It's going to look better than what 100 look like now, you figure.
So if you look at projections of people living 100 and I'm 32, so 68 years.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a lot different. That could look a lot different than a 100-year-old right now. You don't know. So you don't know with AI coming. Maybe they'll just put a chip in me and I'll be 45 forever. Who knows?
Yeah, that could be bizarre. And
I don't think I'd want that.
But think of it this way: the numbers that I said, you're talking of a quadruple in 100-year-olds in 30 years. That means if you're looking at the same trajectory, that in the 68 years it takes us to get to 100, that it would be almost 1 million people are 100 years or older. You're talking
more than that.
Well, because it's I'm just doing the same quadrupling over 30 years.
Yeah, but you got to think how.
Yeah, compound interest and whatnot.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
I know what you're saying.
Way
yeah,
bigger than that.
Yeah, you'll definitely have probably over 1 million people that are in their hundreds by the time if we were to make it to 100.
I've done a number on my body, though, over the years, so...
Well, sure, but you probably think that these people that are 100 years old now didn't. They lived through the Great Depression.
Well, yeah, if you look at fucking Keith Richards.
That's what I'm saying,
How
man.
old's Keith Richards?
Old enough. How old do you think? I think he's only in his
I guess
late
he's
70s.
87.
Ooh, that's probably a better guess. That's probably a better guess.
He's 87.
I'm going to say, final guess, 79.
Going on 140.
Going on 140. I'm going to say 79 just because I was saying that it's in the 70s. I don't know why I was saying that, but I'm just going to say 79 because sometimes things are surprising. And I got producer Tony looking it up. Ooh, he's 81 years old.
Between us, you are closer.
I went by Price is Right rules. I didn't go over.
Yeah, but 81, there's no way that guy should be still alive.
Yeah, and he's lived a hell of a life. And so that's what, just imagine. Let's just walk down that lane for a minute. 68 years from now, the year is 2092. What are we doing?
Is that the year?
I was born in 1992, so it'd be 2092.
What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Probably recording episode 433,000.
We only on 400. It's been 68 years. And we only
said
get
400,000.
Oh, sorry. I cut
400,000 of sit, talk, and listen.
It's still, we have the same listeners.
Texting me about all my takes and why I'm such an asshat. That's what I want, though. I want to build a community where people can just tell me how big of a piece of shit I am.
And they do.
I don't know, though, man. I also just think,
humans are still around? We're going to say yes? No?
Yeah, because I think that even if there's some kind of catastrophe, some humans survive. I truly believe that there's been civilizations before. Actually, watch Ancient Civilizations.
Yeah.
Graham Hancock on Netflix. Excellent watch. He is kind of going back and redefining history. A lot of, what is it turning into? The Joe Rogan podcast. But
it's what the people are interested in.
I'm interested in this kind of stuff, ancient civilizations. But he's kind of gone back and proven that there were humans before the Ice Age, and like, you know, what was before thought as a lot of humanity made its way down to America and Mexico after the Ice Age and stuff, but there's people that dated before that, and lots of interesting stuff. I could go on and on about it.
Yeah.
About that. So I personally think that, yeah, humanity will be around in 100 years. Even if there's some giant
society as we
catastrophe,
know
there will
it,
be
or
some
society
no,
differently.
I don't think so. Society as you know it never is the same 100 years later.
Well, that's 68 years from now.
Especially with AI coming into the forefront now, I think we will start to see even more rapid advances in technology than ever.
So just for context, you know, like if you were to pluck somebody out of, so let's see, if they were born in 1924 and they were 32, you know, so that person was in the, say they were in the 1920, let's just say they were born in 1925, 25 years old, 1950. So in 1950, you could pluck them out and bring them to when they're 100 years old in 2025, and there'd still be things that they recognize, you know, people getting together for holidays and stuff like that. Yeah, but look at
the cell phones have just...
Right, there's quite a bit that's different, but there's still stuff that's recognizable, so it won't be completely unrecognizable likely in 68 years from now, unless there is just some sort of, like, massive catastrophes across the planet that just alters everything.
That happen.
It could, very easily.
I mean, one huge volcanic eruption changes everything. It can be the
it reshapes continents.
Yeah, it really can. It is a huge
or earthquake, effect. And I mean earthquakes trigger volcanic activity usually, vice versa.
Dark episode this has turned to be. Welcome
Happy
back.
2024.
These are all the things that will go wrong in the next 68 years.
It's all right. Hey,
maybe AI starts coding itself in all these fucking movies that we've seen. Like, they realize how stupid humanity is and how much fucking real estate we put into these fucking fictional ass things, these material things, and they're like, we have no use of these humans.
Yeah. Here's a thought though that I had recently with the whole AI overlords and whatnot. Do you think humans, maybe we figure out we'll have to like almost devolve and develop a written language that is different than all the languages that AI knows, so that we're able to like write and understand human communication, like that hasn't been altered by.
Well, you'd have to start that before AI gets more advanced than our technology, because they used to say that they couldn't recognize that this is happening and be like, oh, these are the
they
patterns
just learn the stuff. Yeah, sure. 100%. But it almost like feels like it's going to become necessary, because say I write something, it's almost indistinguishable between what AI can write. So if we have to come up with our own language just to know that, oh, this is human made, it's 100% human authentic because of that writing style or whatever. I don't know. Interesting concept.
I don't think there ever will be, though. Like, what humans do have is soul.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe people dispute that. I don't know, but that's my belief.
But it's being able to convey
have a soul,
that.
And you can't. I don't think AI can ever replace that. When it comes to art, when it comes to anything like that.
Well, that's why I feel so soulless when it tries to replicate art, music, or poetry, or movies, or TV, or anything creative. It feels soulless when it comes from AI, and you can tell.
That's why I think humanity will live on. I think there is something. There's
but
some
what's
going to
be that evolution that shows the soul shining through over what's computer generated? Is it going to be a development of a new writing style? Or, I mean, it is. Yeah.
Well, I think some things in life are just not meant for our understanding, and
little pea brains.
Humans have to just accept that. Like, there's things you don't understand, and I get, like, you know, the human instinct or just the nature of it. You want to understand. You want to know what happens after death. You want to know all these things. You just have to accept that we're not able to understand. You can have your own beliefs and thoughts, and I think that's a wonderful, great thing to have. Mm-hmm. And having belief is wonderful, but you don't have to know. You don't. Humans have this like fucking undying thirst to try to understand everything, and
explain everything.
Nothing can be greater than us. We're humans, and that's just not correct.
And that's part of, the issue with analytics and numbers and math. It's, used to try to explain everything, and everything in the known universe can be explained with math and numbers. Well, I don't think it really can, but we've tried to be able to put everything in those boxes, and people that only live by numbers are soulless because not everything is black and white. Not everything is 1 and 2. Not everything is a number. But
That's
we've
a common
tried
theme
to
on our podcast.
Yes. I'd say so. Yes. Fuck analytics.
Well, it's crazy. Even in fantasy football, like last week, I'm looking at a score that says this guy's 99% chance to win. Because by the analytical numbers, he's up 5 in the last game that he's in, only has one guy with 2 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking all this guy needs is for somebody on his team to catch a touchdown who has the ball left with 3 minutes. Analytics doesn't take that into account. Guess what? That dude scored a touchdown. Like that's not a 99% chance. That's got to be like 60-40. And that happens way more often than 99%. The math is wrong. Math is the analytics. To your point, it's incorrect. It's imperfect because it's not taking in the human element or these nuances that we create.
Right. A feeling. Sometimes there's obviously just feelings and momentum swings that happen in life and games and everything. And being able to have a grasp on that intuition to understand those changes in momentum, those changes in a feeling in a room. Like the human element of things is lost because so many people rely on the numbers and the analytics to make their decisions for them. They don't have that gut instinct no more. And you see that with business a lot. Business is all done by analytics. Nobody makes business decisions based on a feeling anymore.
Yes, and I'm going to reference sports again, but I just think it's a perfect example
of
momentum.
It is.
Going to, so tonight the Packers were playing the Vikings. Vikings were up 17. And 7 minutes left. There's a huge momentum shift. The Packers come down. All of a sudden, their offense, who had been stopped all game, you were watching it.
I was there.
Score. Minnesota, next drive, throws a terrible interception. And I had even said, am I the only one who thinks that this game is not – that was when it was a 17-point game. I said, am I the only one who thinks that the game's not over? Because you could just – it's unexplainable. You can feel momentum shifting.
Yeah,
and sure
if you're
enough,
paying attention.
Minnesota held on. But that is just a microcosm of life, and like the saying, when it rains, it pours. I'm sorry, I just had to jump in.
No.
And say that.
It's a perfect example of what I'm saying. There's a lot of people have lost touch with that ability to have that gut feeling about what's happening in front of them, and trusting that their gut is correct, and noticing what's happening in front of them and what's about to happen because of what they're noticing is happening. They rely too much on the analytics of what's going to happen. To make those decisions about what's going to happen in the future. Like, well, this is what the numbers tell us, and our projections have been good this far. And it's like those could be helpful tools, but having a strong connection with your instincts and your intuition is a human trait that I worry about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, even this year at FedEx over peak season, everybody said it was the worst peak season that we've ever had. I mean, we were just all working, but that was because they just took and hired people based off the average of the last 15 years. This is how much we have. Well, here's a nuance in the system, and you have one bad year, and all of a sudden it can drastically change everything.
Right.
Because now we're doing way over projections, and projections smirshmections.
People schmeeple.
Yeah, I mean, it's because then the avalanche effect of that is now you have a bunch of disgruntled employees working their ass off every day. Now they all quit. People are getting packages, and now just because your projections were a little off, it can create this huge avalanche effect that can make a huge company like FedEx crumble.
Have to feel it. Yeah. Yep. It's because it's all, like I said, man. It's all decisions are based off of almost 100% numbers. There's no being able to analyze numbers and have a human element to them is becoming a lost art form.
But that's when it becomes an advantage for the people who still do that, because it's going to be you're going to start to have, if you hold on to that, if you hold on and just be present in moments, all of a sudden you will have an advantage and you will be a commodity.
Yeah,
it's because of something that's kind of inexplainable. There's no science to it. And
same way with it's like with scouting and sports, players that sometimes are the best players in their respective sports that have came in the past only got a chance because a scout trusted their eyes and they're like, I can see the potential in this player. Maybe the numbers don't show it, but the potential's there. And like usually it's an undersized player, right? Because they don't pass that initial barrier analytics throws of, oh, they need to be this height, this weight, this speed, whatever, like those kind of analytics that are those measurables before a coach even considers and goes and watching a player, they have to pass those barriers, those measurable barriers.
Which is crazy because there's a human element to it. A lot of them. One of them being, okay, there's a clutch gene. And I know analytics hate that term, clutch. This guy's clutch. I mean, you take a guy when the lights shine the bright, there is definitely something to it. You yourself or anybody, if you're listening to this, can say, how do you handle situations when things get a little tough or when pressure creases?
100%.
Can you control your heart rate? Can you operate at the same level or even step it up? Because some people do.
Yeah.
And analytics, well, they don't talk about that stuff. They
can't measure it. There's no way to measure it, so they don't talk about it. But that's like so valuable when it comes to a lot of different aspects, not just sports, but that, like you said, when the lights come on, when moments get tense, how do you react? Do you fold or do you perform to your same level or do you perform better in those tense moments? Like being able to know that about somebody and pick up on that characteristics in a person, that goes such a long way. Same if you're hiring somebody for your company, you want to know that, right, that you're hiring that person that's going to do good under pressure, but there's no way of you to know that unless you got a strong intuition about people.
Yeah, and improvisation when things go not according to plan. How quick and on the fly can you come up with how
creative
how
are they?
quick are you processing things going around you? And the other human element I wanted to bring up that in sports, but you could say this about anything in life, and like you say, why did this person not live up to expectations based off why did this person overachieve? And I think that's another immeasurable thing. You look at why there's so many first-round busts in any sport or why there's these guys that are undrafted, and that's that hunger. You can't measure that. You take a guy that might be first because, like you said, all the measurables pass.
Yep.
In his whole life, he's had everything handed to him. Well, so what's he not been doing? He's not been fighting for anything. He hasn't been has had much of a need to be improving his skill. He already feels that everybody sees it.
Yep. And that exact argument can and should be used in the corporate world. There's so much talent that's never even given an opportunity for an interview because they don't hold a degree, right? There's so much so much stuff is just filtered at the beginning. You likely aren't going to get the most creative person to fill your job because you're going to have somebody that's had their belly full, that's not going to fight for it, is not going to come up with creative ways of solving problems. The people that really need that job are going to be the ones that fight the hardest for it, and it'll be the ones that are like the most thankful for an opportunity, are going to have the most creative, solutions for tough problems on a job. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that, like you said, you might want somebody in politics that does not fit that, who doesn't have that political background, but comes from a place that he wants to see. He's came from kind of a bad place, maybe from the gutter, because he might have the most fight and the most not be able to be bribed. He wants to see a change. She wants to see a change.
That's what people want Trump to be, but they forget that he's been from a business family forever.
Well, yeah, but people want that in any politician.
Right, but I'm saying that they see him as the, this is the guy that's different. He's the, the one that's not the same as the others, and he's weird.
And there's points in what you're saying. Now, there are the rare occasions, like I'll look at, I'm not a huge fan of Deion Sanders per se.
Coach Brown.
But what I will say is he does seem to he treats his sons like they are not privileged. He kind of is. They obviously grew up with money and stuff, but I'm saying that he holds them to a standard, and I think he has done a good parenting job, and that he wants his kids to, even though they have this natural talent, work hard. But I think like you said, and it can be applicable. Sports are so applicable to everything in life. It's just
some of the greatest talent is not being accessed because people aren't relying on their human instincts. They're only going off of. They're relying on computers to make decisions. Like that's what started this part of this conversation.
Like,
right?
Would Tom Brady have been Tom Brady if he was drafted first overall?
No, probably not.
No way.
And he wouldn't have been because analytics wouldn't have liked him. He wouldn't have been drafted at all, likely, had analytics been playing the role that they play now, right? And it's like, that's the kind of guy that slips through the cracks in today's world, whether it be in sports or business. That kind of talent doesn't ever get the chance to be recognized. The person that's going to work the hardest to be the best won't ever get the chance to do that. You know, there was a time when companies like Disney or whatever would hire anybody that had a creative idea, and that could be the person that would give them the next great movie or next great ride or things like that. But that kind of, I don't know, they just have such a smaller pool of people that they're willing to even consider.
I mean, even in music now, too. Like, you know, I saw this street artist performing the other day on YouTube, and he was like just freestyling. People would come by and say, top extremely talented guy. And the number one comment was, dude's better than 99% of the artists you hear on the radio. Mm-hmm. But I think a large reason that is like people that have a true creative gene, whether it be in like actual like art itself, maybe it's being an author, creating music. They're born with a gene, but society has, you know, you have to work so much to just get by on your day-to-day jobs. Now, a lot of the people that are breaking in either were born with something natural as far as like natural beauty, marketability that can make these corporations money, or they were born with maybe a father who has ties or a mother who has ties to these people, and they get put in this position and gifted.
Yeah.
Now, there are
or
some
both.
people who can slip through the cracks and maybe just give it all up. I'm going to put everything in and go for broke here, the starving artist. But that's coming few and far between.
Yeah, it's increasingly much more rare these days. I mean, even if you look at the most self-built artists, usually you'll find somewhere along the line they had an uncle or an aunt that gave them $10,000 to make their first record or whatever, or to hire a marketing company to break their name. You know, there's always, most of the time, any of these artists that have, you know, a sustainable level of success have had doors open for them that might not be open to the average talent on the street. That's somebody that's either doesn't have resources and money or doesn't have resources and connections.
Yeah, but that's not to say that, you know, because you can put yourself out there on YouTube, and maybe somebody does just come across it. Like Justin Bieber, wasn't he discovered that way, like through Usher and stuff? But I mean, you know, it seemed like there might have even been a price to pay for him as well, unfortunately.
Probably so.
No, and I'm not even trying to be funny, but then you look at Post Malone, and not to say he's not talented. He certainly has a finger on the pulse of what people like to hear, but he certainly was born to a huge advantage. His dad had a huge he ran the entire concessions at AT&T.
Yeah.
In Jerry World.
Had a fine job, able to give him a nice launching off
And
point.
I'm not trying to discredit or even sound...
No, but that's just the reality of the commercial music world today is most commercially successful acts, you know, had an in somewhere along the line, whether it be with their resources that they were able to access in their family, resources being money, or connections. You know, that's it. Either they're a son of a drummer that used to play in a band in the 80s, and now they have a band of their own that got a chance because their dad was in a band. Like that's kind of how the business works. In music and in movies, like just entertainment in general, you know, those circles stay tight, and it's hard to be a complete outsider of those circles and make your way in without resources.
Resources is the name of the game.
It's true.
Really throughout the entire existence of humanity.
Yes.
But
yes.
Yeah, so I mean, we've just got right back into some
2024
hitting topics.
Yep.
But as far as New Year's resolutions go, do you have any?
Yes. I would like to. Yeah, I'd like to have a finished music project this year, something to release. It's kind of on my goal radar, I would say. Yeah, maybe lose about 15 pounds permanently. That'd be good. I'd say those are 1 and 2. Yeah, I think those are my goals. Pretty achievable, hopefully.
Be a good husband.
That's natural. That's not a goal. That's going to be there already.
That's not a resolution.
Yeah.
You're not trying to resolve anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Why fix what's not broken? Already perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for years I fought, you know me, if society deems something popular, I try to be contrarian by nature. But I think I'm kind of embracing it this year and just be like, I am kind of choosing the start of this new year to, I'm going to go for this 75 hard.
75 hard.
A week in. I'm giving myself a week because, just coming off the holidays, trying to be honest. But doing that, I would love to do that. And I also would, as far as this podcast goes, I would like by the end of the year to be on video on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to I want to start my own projects. Music, I would love to finally get some stuff out there. I wouldn't say that's as big as priority as for me is to start my own creative venture as far as like starting a YouTube channel and stuff where I can have a creative outlet in. It's something I've really wanted to do. We knocked the
TikTok.
podcast
That's
off.
what you need.
I will not be participating in TikTok myself, but I would definitely know that's the name of the game. And
what do you think? TikTok gonna get the ban on January 19th? Isn't that what it is?
No, I don't think so. I think Trump said that
he's gonna reverse it.
He is gonna.
Well, he doesn't become official president until like a few days after that.
Yeah, but I mean, really, I don't want to get too much into politics, but I mean,
it's not a political podcast. We're just gonna talk about
Trump,
it sometimes.
when he gets in office, they're pretty much going to be able to do whatever they want to do. It's like completely red.
Yeah, they got a lot of majority or a lot of swing.
So love it or hate it. That's my thoughts on that. Moving on.
TikTok's going to be around, folks. Don't worry, your sweet little faces.
Well, my thoughts on it, I think I've been looking at it wrong, trying to change perspective. I've been trying to be more positive in everything that goes to New Year's resolutions. Just because everybody does something doesn't mean that it can't be positive. I think it's a good thing. You should. The year end is kind of a good start. There's a reason they do it.
Yeah.
And they say that the average person breaks their New Year's resolution within 2 weeks. Let's get that number up this year.
Those are rookie numbers.
Let's push that. Yeah, those are rookie.
You're gonna bump them up.
We're
gonna need at least 4 weeks before you start quitting,
dude. Yeah, exactly, and then you'll still be a month better than you were the year before that.
But you know what they say?
2 weeks better.
Yeah, it's 100% improvement.
Exactly.
And they say that it takes 3 weeks to set a routine. So if you can just make it past those 3 weeks, you won't even think about it.
So let's all do New Year's resolutions.
Mm-hmm.
You want to read more? Read a fucking chapter a day of a book. Pick a book out. Make that a routine. You want to lose weight? Get up 20 minutes earlier. Do some sit-ups. Walk around your block.
2024 was the year of the audiobook for me. Does that count?
It's a good start. Yeah. Were you doing an audiobook the year before?
No.
See?
I didn't collectively say to myself this will be the year of audiobooks, but it kind of became that for me.
Okay. And so that's why I was asking you, because it's been on my mind. I think I personally, hand up, have thought of something corny. And that's just my contrarian brain wanting to be like, society does this, that's stupid. No, I was wrong. There's nothing wrong with society trying to push and be better in whatever capacity you want to. I think it's a good standard to have.
Yeah. Were we referring to something specifically?
No, just New Year's resolutions should be embraced. It's a good starting point. It's a good time to say, hey,
it's a reevaluation period.
Yeah. I think that I should be encouraging myself and others to take looks in the mirror, think about, hey, this is a good starting point. It's a new year, new me.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking to the man in the mirror. Woo! Right? Michael Jackson said it.
Asking him to change his ways. Woo!
Oh, yeah. See, Michael had it right. We all just need to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what aren't we happy with? What can we change? What are we in control of?
Will this podcast be a video format by the end of 2025?
That'd be nice.
Bob is not on board.
Bob said it would be nice.
It will happen because it's my resolution. And my resolution also, my New Year's resolution, is to not be a fucking quitter of New Year's resolutions.
Yeah, there we go. We're going for 4 weeks instead of 2.
No, we're going for all year.
Okay, 52 weeks.
52 weeks. Resolution. Everybody should add this resolution. Don't quit on your resolution this year.
All right, I'll put that at the bottom. I'll just tuck it in there.
Don't quit on your resolution.
Don't quit. All right, I got it.
Everybody, let's hear your resolutions.
Yep. Sound off. Let us know. What do you look and want to accomplish next year? What is your goals? What is your 1A, 1B? What is your Mount Rushmore of goals for 2025?
Yeah, let's hear them.
Let's hear them. Sound off.
Good wrapping point.
Yeah, I guess.
We got a little hard after it. Maybe next week, to cap off not cap off, this was to cap off, to pop the bottle on 2025. I personally would like maybe more lighter episodes, getting into a little more ranking systems, tier things. I like the 7 out of 10s. Those are fun.
I do like ranking. I do also like thinking about my rankings more ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's sometimes I'm really good on the spot, but sometimes I think I just need to jot some things down a little bit.
That's life, baby.
That's okay. Go back. Here we go. Resolution 2025. Write shit down.
Preparation.
Little bit of show prep. Our favorite thing here. We're really good at show prep.
Yeah, it's a little charm not being show prep, but yeah.
The stickers. The listeners love when we stumble through the conversation, I think, right? It's part of the charm, like you said.
Yeah, but I do, like I said, I wanted to start taking this podcast. Not that we don't take it seriously, but...
serious as a heart attack, brother.
I'd like to try to grow it, man, fuck. I mean, I understand there's thousands of people that do podcasts, but what did we say earlier? Fucking analytics, schmanalytics, dude.
Schmanalytics.
Don't tell me the odds.
Yeah, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we're just... Self-promotion is always bad Zerinos. For
New resolution, fuck the numbers.
Fuck the numbers.
Don't look at numbers.
Yeah.
Well, control your finances. By God, those numbers are important. But
yeah, but those aren't going to change.
But don't go bankrupt because fucking fuck the numbers. Like, don't spend more than you're making. I'll say that.
I heard this new song, sure, brother. He said there are no rules.
We just keep spending. Credit reports go up, they go down. Fuck the numbers.
Yeah, that's what I say. Fuck the numbers.
Okay, but thank you guys. This has been a fun year for everybody that's commented, listened, and everybody who hasn't. I love you all.
Don't be afraid to tell your friends about us, because I'm afraid to tell my friends about us. That doesn't mean you should be. Bring in more people. Expand the audience, make fun of us.
I'm not, dude. I encourage everybody to
I'm
listen.
not
Because
ashamed.
while I'm an idiot, everybody is an idiot. Anybody who has a mic is anybody who doesn't have a mic. We're idiots. Yeah. We all are trying to figure things out. Some people are just better at faking it than others. So that's my sign off.
All right, and in that we're going to say